Hey guys, Brian Stevens over here with Mortgage Shots. I got Jeff Fitzer. He is a social media strategist, pretty damn good at it too, gotta tell you. He's a co-founder of Drunk on Social. He's a social coach and regional vice president over at USA Mortgage, and a good friend. How we doing today, dude?
I'm good. And it's funny that you mentioned the regional vice president, because I'm actually really not anymore.
Okay.
Stepping away and doing more stuff. Still do a lot with that company, but doing a lot more with all social now, coaching and strategy, and really just helping loan officers bring more value to agents.
Well, it's kind of the whole idea is that let's find where the opportunity is and leverage where we can come in and help. And right now there's a big need for that. I kind of want to start exactly as we spoke about just a couple of moments ago with the question you asked me. When's the market going to change, my friend? And then I want to talk about how we can go in there and help loan officers when, in fact, the market does change. So what's your thoughts on it?
Man, I tell you what, I do believe that, I believe in cycles, and I cannot believe that, as we discussed previously, the 3 and 4 years ago, best years that you've ever seen in the industry, if you've been in the industry for 20, 30 years, right? And in the last 2 years, the worst we've ever seen it. So now we've just gone through 2 of the most extreme cycles that we've ever seen. I don't believe this can continue. It's got to normalize. And I believe it's going to normalize in an election year. I think there's going to be all kinds of chaos going down. I think all of the signs point towards slight rate improvement. I think the signs are going to point towards a shift in the real estate economics in the real estate world. I think we're going to see more inventory. I think we're going to see boomers finally ready to downsize and sell their homes. And I think you're going to see Gen Z actually lead the drive on home buying. And I think it won't be long after that millennials will finally follow. I think all of that's going to happen in the next 6 to 24 months.
6 to 24 months. You know, it's interesting when you talk about the Gen Zers. They really are the ones who are coming up, and they've kind of got a different approach to things right now. And when you look at like the jobs that folks are looking for, like my skill set is wonderful it is to me. It's not what they're looking for. When you're looking for a profile of Gen Zers from a loan officer's perspective, like who are you looking for, and how do you effectively target them?
From trying to hire them into the
No. If you're a loan officer right now and you say, okay, I'm identifying Gen Z as the next large opportunity, sure, they're fundamentally different than us. But how as a loan officer are you going to go ahead and communicate with them? Because the truth be told, being a little bit older myself as you are, it's a different. You want to talk about like 70s rock and roll? I got you covered. But that's not necessarily what this generation is looking for. How do we as a loan officer who I think are demographics somewhere in the mid-50s, how do we go ahead and how do we communicate and get through to Gen Zers?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is they don't even want to, it's like we as our generation, we want to have phone conversations with people. We want to have face-to-face conversations with people. Those 2 modes of communication are so far removed from that generation, it's not even anywhere near the table. They don't even want to text with us anymore. They want to Snapchat. They want to DM through social media. And so, I think that speaks to it. Ultimately, they are the most educated generation that's ever existed. They have more data. They have more stuff. They can do all the research that they want to do before you're even brought into the equation. And I think the vast majority of these younger generations, they're going to want to go make their determinations if you're even worthy of a conversation before you even get into that realm, whether you even can get a DM. And that means they're going to go stalk you through whatever mode of social media or internet that they choose to seek people, to seek products, to seek services. And that's how it's all going to go.
Yeah, it really is interesting as I wax and wane about, my horizon years that I'm facing right now. And, if we wanted to gather information, I was checking out, National Geographic and Encyclopedia Britannica. But you think like today, like how many like useful, interesting little tidbits of information are consumable and digestible in seconds? Yeah. And kids can just go through and they can learn in months what we learned in years. I agree with you that this is definitely the most informed generation of anybody who's ever buying a house. How do we modify our strategies then?
Yeah, well, I think that, building a brand and embracing technology and embracing these, obviously social media being probably paramount, and just understanding that you actually have more opportunity than you've ever had in the history of mankind. When you really think about the way that we've marketed ourselves in the past, and as loan officers, as a mortgage industry, it was, less real estate modes, less door knocking, less billboards, but more like visiting real estate offices. And you all know what you get when you walk into a real estate office anymore, right? You all know that what happens when you're calling on your realtors on Friday afternoon to check on their open house to see if they have any business. Like, we are the spam that consumers feel about the real estate industry, right? How we feel about insurance agents that come at us, right? And I think you have to sit back and analyze and understand that because of the fact that they've been so inundated with technology, and we're living now in these different, this is how we seek entertainment now, right? It's through social media. We don't even watch television anymore.
No.
And so, understanding that how it's evolving, and how, consumers, and by consumers, this includes pretty much everyone, including ourselves. We don't even want the fake reality TV as it was 5 years ago anymore.
Right.
Now we want real reality.
Yep.
And things are shifting, and it's not about who has the fanciest editing. It's who's the most real.
Yep.
It's who's the most authentic. And also understanding, Brian, that when you're talking about things like social, our industry, especially real estate, they're the worst. Mortgage is not too far behind. That social media was designed as what? A social connection tool. That's why it was designed. It never went. Mark Zuckerberg's never come forward and said, "Hey, everyone, we're shifting it. It's now become a sales tool, a spam tool." No, he did create business pages that are graveyards that you have to pay to play. So it started as a social connection tool, and it's completely gone over our heads, and we've decided to use it as a spamming mechanism. So now we've pissed off the world. They hate us. If I asked you 10 years ago, name the slimiest industry that exists, what would have been your answer 10 years ago?
Ambulance chasing lawyers would be a big one of them.
Okay.
In honest, used car salesman.
That's it. That's the answer. Used car salesman, which no longer exists because they've shifted that industry to where they've pretty much removed the middle-aged white guy that smelled like cigarettes and coffee. And now you can do all of your shopping online, right? You don't need them anymore. And as you and I have discussed on another podcast, like, they're trying to basically they're trying to do that in our industry, and you have to beat that game. Otherwise, technology will replace you. And so when you think about social, when you think about communicating with these generations of humans, first, remember, it's a social connection tool. Number two, I'd call it an entertainment vehicle. It's now replacing television. My wife lays down on the couch, flips on the TV, sits back, gets on her phone, and I'm like, "Why'd you even turn on the TV?" And she's like, "Background noise."
Dude, no, I'm not joking. I swear to God, I had this conversation last week with my wife. We go, "Why don't we even turn on the TV?" Because we came home and I said, I'm actually okay with this. I'm okay with this. This is healthy enough for me to do, and I find it more entertaining. We don't even turn the TV on anymore. Me and my wife will come in. We get home from work around the same time. We'll sit on the couch. We don't even turn the TV on, and we'll sit there and dick around with our phones for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that. I think a lot of people in our generation, that's almost unfathomable. But I want you to think about what you just said. You just said, you got to embrace technology. Even that statement is very similar to somebody about 70 years ago saying, "Honey, could you please turn on the electric powered lights?" The statement alone is even outdated. That's a statement that you couldn't even really associate with younger generations. And that shows like the learning curve that your average loan officer and real estate agent are up against right now. And you're right, and they're earning money in ways that we hadn't fathomed in the past. And I think they're earning potential when you look at like what jobs are people looking for right now. And it's the skill set of the Gen Zers. I agree with you. I think that there's just massive opportunity, and I'll tell you what, it's going to happen sooner than later. So right now we see that we have a lack of inventory. That's a problem. Inflation is an issue. Thank God I heard the president's State of the Union address last night. He's apparently got all of this stuff figured out over the course of the next couple of weeks. So this next point is going to be kind of ridiculous because it's all getting fixed right now. What do you see as the biggest challenges that are actually facing the industry? Inflation? Is it inventory? Is it rates, underwriting? Is it companies failing? What are the biggest challenges that are facing us?
Well, I'm going to give you a different, less technical answer because I'm not smart enough, because I'm removed enough from the actual industry. It's actually funny. Well, as I was kind of waning out of the industry, people that are closest to me teased me and said, you can't even spell the word mortgage anymore. But what I got really good at was understanding what value meant. And I think that applies to basically any industry. But obviously, we're speaking to the mortgage industry here, but understanding what real value is. And I think that is honestly the biggest challenge that our industries, that includes real estate, that we're struggling to understand because we've been taught all wrong on how to market ourselves. And now you throw in these modes of communication, these vehicles that are completely different than has been for the last 10, 20 years. And we don't know what to do with it. And we don't know how to use it. And we don't know how to communicate and connect with people, because ultimately that's what we are doing. But also understanding that there is a level of where it's going to blend together. And so I would tell anybody, like, you need to go all in on social media. No, you need to go all in on social media as one pillar, as one bullet in your gun that is going to actually complement your traditional prospecting and make it more effective. And so to me, the biggest challenge is everything you mentioned when you asked me that question is an uncontrollable to me. Can't control what rates are going to do. I can't control what the economy is going to do. I can't control what Fannie and Freddie are going to do. I can't control any of that stuff. But what I can control is how many referral partners want to work with me, how many people that can send me business because I actually bring them real value, and I'm not groveling, begging for business. They want to keep me in their life. And so that's what I focus on. I focus on, how do I do that? How do I keep them in my web? How do I maintain stickiness?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. And, there's really no wrong way to answer it. But I like what you said about control. I think so much in this industry from loan officers is we look at we focus on the things that we can't control. Oh, it's the rates. Oh, it's the inventory. And I really kind of think, the things that we can control. As a loan officer, as a discipline, I kind of look at control too, and how I can use that to maximize my efficiencies, the synergies and synchronicities that I'm trying to work with. For a loan officer, objectively, what is something that they can go ahead and change to kind of help themselves with that control that you talk about?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it goes back to your relationships with real estate agents. Now, that's coming from, and I'll preface this by saying, to me, refi booms are just a perk. Refi booms are something that are a byproduct of being in the industry, and it's not something that I would focus on. When rates dip, the bigger client base I build from purchases automatically will equate to refinances, right? So that's not what I'm going to sit back and wait for or hope for and pray for, right? What I'm going to focus on is, what's the one constant, no matter what rates are, right? And so, over the last 2 years, we all know what's completely dried up. And it's the LOs that have really focused on that place in their business that are surviving. I'm not even going to say thriving. They're surviving. And I think as we go forward, I think the most important place that you need to be, and I'm also going to digress and say that I think a lot of LOs, they want to, and I've heard this from hundreds of them, I need to figure out how I can get to the buyer first so I can bring it to the real estate agent. Dude, I've been hearing that for 10, 15, 20 years. Nobody's figured it out effectively. It's never going to be completely figured out. And I think really you can try, but I think your best opportunity is also understanding, Brian, and I've spent a lot of time in the real estate space. My obviously with my affiliation with Lab Coat Agents, Tristan and all that, is I've understood that real estate agents actually are lacking a lot of education. They're lacking a lot of guidance. They're lacking especially innovative guidance. It's a very antiquated industry as well. So you can position yourself as an authority of somebody who can actually help them with their business. And if you can do that, and I'm not talking about, I answer my phone on nights and weekends, I have this product, I have that product, I have the best rate. None of that. That's what puts you in a diluted, field and a diluted pool, right? But focus on them, focus on their business. And what most brokers are not very good at is video. What most brokers are not very good at is social media. And I think if you can build a brand and create that top of mind awareness with your agents, which will then have them coming to you saying, can you help me with, before you know it, they're asking you, how can I reciprocate? Thank you so much. What can I do for you? And so for me, that's what we focus on. I focus on trying to figure out, all right, how can I continue to raise the bar so I not only stay ahead of other mortgage companies, but I stay ahead of brokers. I'm looking at real estate brokers saying, I got to bring more value so they look at me as someone of that status and not just a lender. Because when they look at me as just a lender, guess what? If I don't answer my phone at 3:00 on Sunday, what are they going to do? Call another one.
Right.
And so I need to have a more elevated status. And I just feel like it's stickier. It's more sustainable. And oh, by the way, Brian, when I started doing this, it was because I looked at my career and said, I can't see myself doing this for the next 20 years. Just constantly begging for business. I did a fine job at it. But every time I would turn around, Harry from the other mortgage company had some widget, and he'd walk into my real estate office and say, I got this widget. And my real estate agent, who were like best friends and we vacation together, says, well, we're going to give Harry a try. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You serious? Like, it just pissed me off to no end. And it made me realize my value is not strong enough. Even the friendship's not strong enough. And so I've got to position myself better. And so I honestly think that's where you're going to see the cream rise to the absolute top, are the ones that figure out and understand that.
I love what you said about refinances and the fact like, hey, listen, we can't focus on that as our business. Certainly take them when they're here. I get it. But sustainability is not going to be found there. We have to think long, not just a short-term game, but the long-term game. It's kind of like if you've ever been fishing, it's like, yeah, if you ever find yourself in the middle of a school of fish, catch all the fish you want and have fun with it. But you better make sure your engine runs well, because those fish are going to move on and you're going to have to go ahead and try to find the next opportunity. It makes perfect sense. The thing is that comes out to me, and I want to give you a last word on this, is that we need to be deliberate in our actions. I think the whole idea of going to work and saying this is going to come to me, I think is wrong. You have to wake up today and say, I'm outdated, I'm antiquated, I'm just being honest, I'm not being down on myself, and I'm going to be pragmatic about this, and I need to take action now, or what's difficult today is going to become impossible tomorrow. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to I think you said it best, is creating a plan. And I think so many of us are, again, their plan is hoping and praying. And, I think if you can't sit down right now to me and spout off your value. So let's just pretend I'm a real estate agent and you're a loan officer, or vice versa. And you ask me, all right, what makes you different? And you can't honestly just spout it right off. That's first and foremost. You got to focus on that, but you've got to create that plan. As you and I have talked about, there's going to be the loan officers that are out ahead, and there's going to be the ones that are stumbling out of the block. And I think creating a plan so that you can have this sustainable presence, and then also continue to do the things. If you're part of BNI, you do networking groups, you have these various strategies that you've been applying for years. I'm telling you, if you have never had the opportunity through any marketing strategy to reach your target avatar while they're sitting on the toilet like you have today, and you have this opportunity, it's not about perfection. It's not about the perfect post, the perfect video. It's not about quality. It's about quantity, because the more you do it, the more you practice it, you'll get better at it. It's about understanding that you have an opportunity to be omnipresent in front of not only your realtor partners, but your past customers. You have this opportunity that social media should actually be your CRM. Brian, the one thing I didn't even mention is that, when you think about everything that we do from a historical standpoint, how we touch our customers, text, phone calls, door knocking, emails, it's all invasive. But now you have this mode of communication that people, they choose to be there. You're meeting your client where they want to be met. And not only that, Brian, when you go onto their pages and just authentically comment on their post, not only do they notice, they feel good. Like you hit them with dopamine. And so it's like, just build that 15, 20 minutes a day, stock
That's a great point.
your database, hit them with dopamine. Watch what happens over the next 6 to 12 months. It changes the game.
The truth is that even doing that is changing habits, and changing habits is difficult to do. Yeah. But the truth is I think what I just heard you say is, listen, guys, you got to quit listening to that shit shop you got in between your ears right now and start taking actions. I think that's where we need to be. Love that point. Love that point about meeting them on their own terms where they're comfortable having a communication. Love the point that you just made about dopamine. I just saw this, dude. I just saw this graph that was talking about when people jump on and they start doom scrolling, and when they get on social media and they get responses. The dopamine effects are exactly the same as taking that first drag off a cigarette or having that first drink for a drunk. It really is. Meeting them on their own terms.
Yep.
Jeff, I agree. Let's keep doing this, man. I love it. And you got a great thing going over there. And for those of you who are watching right now, if you're looking for a direction, listen, you can do a hell of a lot worse than reaching out to this guy. All Jeff's information is right around here. Make sure you reach out and check out what he's doing.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, bud.